Hey everyone, if you're looking for a CNC router that actually fits on a desk without taking over your garage and still gives you clean, repeatable cuts without a ton of setup headaches, the SainSmart Genmitsu 4040 Pro Max might be exactly what you need. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The first thing that stood out to me is how this thing is designed to be plug and play right out of the box. Most CNC routers in this size range still make you wire up a VFD, tune the spindle, and figure out the cooling loop before you even think about cutting. SainSmart's integrated control box changes that: no separate boxes, no extra cables, just power in and start milling. That's a big deal if you're not an electrician and just want to carve something tonight instead of debugging wiring tomorrow. Now, the 4040 Pro Max isn't the biggest machine on the market, but it's built to feel solid for its class. The reinforced spoil board with integrated T-track is actually useful. You can clamp your material down without flipping the board every time, and the tracks keep your vacuum hose or dust shoe from wandering. That might sound small, but anyone who's ever fought a loose vacuum seal mid-cut will tell you it's a game changer. The linear rails are another practical upgrade over the round rails you see on cheaper models. They're quieter, they hold position better during long jobs, and they don't wear out as fast if you're running the spindle at 18,000 revolutions per minute for hours. If you're planning to cut aluminum or hardwood repeatedly, that kind of consistency matters more than raw horsepower. Speaking of horsepower, the 1.5 kilowatt water-cooled spindle is where this machine punches above its weight. A lot of desktop routers skimp on the spindle because it's the most expensive single component, but SainSmart didn't. The water cooling means you can run it at full power without the motor overheating or the noise level climbing into headache territory. I've seen users run this spindle for 2-hour sessions cutting plywood without any drop in cut quality, which is exactly what you want if you're trying to finish a project instead of babysitting the machine. One thing that surprised me was how quiet this thing is compared to other routers in this range. The water-cooled spindle is a big part of that, but the integrated control box also runs quieter than a typical stepper driver setup. If you're working in an apartment or a shared space, that's not just a nicety, it's the difference between being able to run a job at night or waiting until the weekend when everyone's out. That said, there are some real trade-offs here. The 4040 Pro Max is still a desktop machine, so don't expect to cut full-size sheet goods without breaking the project into sections. The working area is tight if you're used to larger hobbyist routers, and the Z-axis travel is limited enough that you'll need to flip large parts to machine both sides. If you're planning to carve sign blanks or make small furniture parts, you'll be fine. If you're dreaming of cutting full cabinet panels in one pass, you'll want to look at something bigger. Another thing to consider is the software setup. SainSmart bundles their own version of GRBL, which is great for beginners because it's straightforward, but it's not as flexible as Mac 3 or Linux CNC if you're trying to do advanced toolpathing or multi-axis work. If you're already comfortable with CAM software and post-processors, you might find yourself wanting more control out of the box. The good news is that the machine is GRBL compatible, so you can always switch to a more advanced controller later if you outgrow the stock setup. So who should buy this? If you're a hobbyist, a small maker, or someone who wants a reliable, quiet, and easy-to-set-up desktop CNC without the complexity of a full workshop, this is a solid choice. It's especially good if you're cutting wood, soft plastics, or light aluminum and want clean edges without tuning every parameter. If you're a professional who needs to cut large panels or run production jobs, you'll probably want a larger machine with a more robust spindle and better dust collection. The value here comes from the integrated control box and the water-cooled spindle, two things that usually cost extra or require extra setup on other machines. You're paying for convenience and consistency, not just raw specs. And if you're the type who wants to start cutting tonight instead of next week, that convenience is worth a lot. If you're still on the fence, spend some time watching build videos and user cuts online. The community around the Genmitsu line is active, and seeing real-world projects will give you a better sense of what this machine can actually do. Just remember that CNC routers are only as good as the toolpaths you feed them, so factor in the time you'll spend learning your CAM.